Finally, 3 years or more since the oldest leaf was picked, it is now about to become a habano. There are 4 grades of torcedor, and only the top grade is allowed to make the biggest, most complicated habanos. In a day, a torcedor can make 60 cigars of the most complicated vitolas, or sizes. The heart of any factory is la galera, or workshop. Here, torcedores make the different habanos, brands, and vitolas. Tools used in the making of a totalmente a mano cigar are a wooden board, a cutter called chaveta, a guillotine, a pot of colorless and flavorless natural vegetable gum, a template to check length and girth, a little disc-cutting casquillo, and above all, the practiced hands no machine can ever match. It takes many years to reach the peak of this time-honored craft, but one thing at least has changed. Most torcedores these days are women, torcedoras. In 1865, it was suggested that torcedores would work more pleasantly while listening to readings. The reader was born. Books read at the factories, such as Romeo and Juliet and the Count of Monte Cristo, were so popular that they lent their names to habanos brands. The torcedor, or torcedora, lays out the 2 or sometimes 3 half leaves that form the binder. Next, she gathers together the leaves of the filler, folding and aligning each leaf to ensure a straight passage for smoke in the finished cigar. The stronger flavored, slower burning ligero leaf is always placed at the center. Now the torcedora forms the bunch by rolling the filler into the binder. The torcedora makes her bunches in batches and presses then for 30 minutes or more in a wooden mold to set their shape. Once the half leaf is prepared for the wrapper, the bunch is laid on it and rolled. Sensitive fingertips carefully stretch and straighten the leaf. The tension in the leaf has to be perfect. Finally comes the cap, and the cigar is guillotined to length. There are strict quality control tests at all stages of hand making. Bundles are taken to the quality control department, where technicians check the cigar for weight, length, girth, consistency, construction, and appearance, particularly examining the tightness of the wrapper and the finish of the cap. Those failing the quality control will never become habanos. Samples are regularly taken apart to verify their internal construction and blend. The very latest quality control technique is a machine that checks the draw of the bunch by suction. The test takes place after the bunch has been pressed in the mold and before the wrapper is added. It was first introduced at the end of 2001 and is now widely used in all Cuban factories. Likewise, every factory has its team of cigars tasters, catadores, who meet every day to test cigars and score them. Between making and packing, the cigars are taken to the conditioning room or escaparate. Here in cedar-lined cabinets, they are left to rest while they shed the excess of moisture that was gained in the rolling process. After 1 week, they are smokable, but the longer they stay here, the better. Conditions are strictly maintained at between 16 and 18 degrees centigrade and 65 to 70% relative humidity, noticeably cooler and drier than the ambient Cuban climate. The escaparate is often referred to as the treasury. It is here that the true wealth of the factory is stored. One escogedor sorts the cigars in mass, dividing them by colors and shades of each color in a pattern of columns and rows that may well represent 60 or more finely distinguished shades. Great care is taken to ensure that all of the cigars in any box are the exact same shade. A second escogedor then sorts the cigars within each shade, one box full at a time, arranging them so that any slight differences in tone run dark to light from left to right across the box. The anilladora, or bander, delicately applies a band to each cigar and places them in their part-dressed box, following the escogedor's arrangement in every detail. Same face upwards, with the band appropriately aligned. The extravagant paper trimmings on the box are called habilitaciones, and Cuba was first to introduce the classic labeled cigar box. Each label has its own time-honored name. Some of them are applied before and others after the box is filled. There are various authenticating marks that you should look for when buying Habanos. The Cuban government warranty seal. This green warranty seal was first introduced in 1889, and then in 1912 a new design was authorized by the Cuban government. From 2000, a serial number was added as a control measure. Another identification is the Habanos denomination of origin seal. It carries all boxes as a mark of the cigar's denomination of origin. The bottoms of all Habano boxes are stamped with the words Hecho en Cuba, made in Cuba, Habanos S.A., the company that markets them, and when they are. Totalmente a mano, tripa larga, totally handmade, long filler, totalmente a mano, tripa corta, totally handmade, short filler, and mecanizado, machine made. Selection is never easy, taking into account that there are 33 brands with more than 240 different cigars between them to choose from. The wrapper must please the eye. The color should be even and there should be a sheen on the leaf. Like the best wine, Habanos can be kept for a good 15 years, sometimes longer. They should be stored at between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius and in a relative humidity of 65 to 70%. Storing and aging are best conducted in a large humidor where moist air can circulate. A humidor is designed for cigars and contains a moisture source. Happily, a whole industry exists making cedar humidors to help you keep your Habanos. The task of keeping and aging is best left to expert cigar shops, but you can do it at home if you wish. The result is worth waiting because the taste will have developed and your Habano will share its essence with greater ease. Novices are advised to start with one of the lighter flavored Marques and to experiment with a smaller vitolas such as Marevas or Petit Corona.